Welcome to the Worship House podcast. Our heart is that we would be a resource to your ministry and help launch you into your destiny and into your calling like never before. And so we hope and we pray that it blesses you. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Worship House podcast. I'm so excited about our guests today. Good friends of mine and even like partners in ministry and all this stuff. So it's exciting. And it's Jeremiah Grube, all right, and Dakota Kibler. And so we just welcome you guys. It's so glad to be here. Dakota and I are going to be doing a worship set together soon, right, Dakota?
Yeah, looking
Where
forward to
at
it.
the men's conference, my brother Jordan's doing. So I'm excited for that. And Jeremiah, did you know that? I don't know if I told you that. Yeah, isn't
I
that
haven't
fun?
used them.
Yeah, man. I've been waiting for an opportunity to have Dakota play drums. I'm like so excited to have him come
That's
and
cool.
play. And
He's one of the best, if not the best, in my opinion.
Oh man, you guys are
yeah,
pouring it on thick.
no,
No,
dude,
I appreciate
he's it's amazing. And Jeremiah, I just blessed to know you, man. I know, I I it's been an honor for me to walk with you. This has been such a transitional season for me, and I'm just thankful for you, man. And just want to give you honor because you really carry a father's heart in an industry, like not a fake one, like it's like a lot of people are like, I'm a father of worship or this, but you actually walk it out. You care, you do a lot of things that no one ever sees. And so I'm blessed to run with you, man. And and excited to have you guys on here. And thank you so much for making it work and doing this. So
No,
yeah,
absolutely, man. Thanks. It's our honor to help you and to partner with Worship House and
thanks, man.
talk about worship, talk about the app OnSong and how it helps worship leaders as well.
Yeah,
it's all in the same sphere here for us. So
yeah.
we're happy to help you.
Yeah, dude, and it's such a good tool. And I'm so excited. Normally I start each podcast, I was telling you guys this, but I start each podcast with just a quick promo with OnSong. And I was like, hey, we don't need to promo. They're going to promo it today. And so, but
it.
OnSong for me has been has partnered, like with us, and it's been an amazing for me amazing partnership. And I'm praying that I can be a good partner for you guys as well, and just walk with it and get this out to as many people as possible because what you're doing, honestly, is revolutionary for worship leaders, and I believe in it. And as I've been traveling, as I've been speaking, I'm kind of carrying this with me in this season, and I feel like it's a partnership from the Lord. Not to throw that around loosely, but it feels to me like this is something God put together, and I'm so grateful for it. But let's do this. Let's introduce, like, just tell a little bit of your story, and where you're coming from. Obviously, you guys have been doing this for a long time, but tell a little story about. And you can start. Whoever wants to go first is good.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I was a worship leader, worship pastor for 20 years. Actually started leading worship when I was 16. And so 20 some years, I'm 48 now, so I don't know what that would be. Carry the one. But
Yeah,
been leading worship for a long time. Led worship at Messiah College when I went there. Really, that's what, I fell in love with leading worship. I was able to lead worship at a thing called Powerhouse at Messiah, which
yeah,
was basically when I got the reins of it. It was maybe 400 kids would come out, and it was very much an acoustic-driven worship set, a couple acoustic guitars, and I just felt in my heart that there was more, and there was
yeah,
more to do there, and have a greater impact. And so the Lord I opened it up and said, "Hey, we want to do a full band," and so we put drums, we put electric guitars, and this was back in 1996, 1997 era,
yeah,
and then once we did that, two things happened. One, God was all over it, and two, we doubled in the amount of students that would come to the service.
yeah, yeah,
So it went from like 400 to like 1,000, like the
yeah,
first couple weeks, and so it was just the hunger for God with the students, and these students would come to the Thursday night hour of worship at Powerhouse for just because they wanted to. There was zero chapel credit. they would have already went to chapel on a Tuesday or Thursday, so they didn't have to be there. They just wanted to be there. They wanted to be there because of the presence of God. And so that's where I kind of cut my teeth on leading worship in front of large amounts of people. And
Yeah.
so it was sometimes we in the fall we would have them out in the big circle area outside because we couldn't fit in the little hostel or chapel anymore. And there'll be 1,200 uh, college students there leading worship in front of them, and doing that every week for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Really, it really was like the best education or the best
Yeah.
experience I could have ever asked for. Far greater than the books, far greater than the actual degree itself. But God had me there to really lead worship in front of my generation at a high level as far as who came. And it really then set me up for the rest of my life, and
Yeah,
in
man.
leading worship and knowing how to work with people, knowing how to, you know, lead a band in front of a large group, small group, big group, young people, everything. And so I'm just, one, thankful to the Lord for that opportunity. Two, thankful for Messiah College for giving me that opportunity, because they it wasn't affiliated with Messiah, the actual powerhouse itself. It was something very organic that the kids that we just ran student led, but it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't at Messiah. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so then was been a worship pastor for 20 years, and then back in 2017, from 2011 to 2017, I was using OnSong at the church I was at, leading worship and being the worship pastor, and I would use the app to lead worship, and to actually, back in the day, I leased iPads from Apple, and
Oh
I'd set
yeah.
them out on the table. I set them out on the table, and I would create my set list on the iPad, and then I could beam it to all the iPads that were there.
Yeah.
And it was a drummer iPad, electric iPad, acoustic iPad, singer iPad, piano iPad, and they all would instantaneously have the set. They would have the
Yeah.
key I was doing it in. They would have any of my notes or annotations I would make for them specifically or not specifically.
Yeah.
Everything was there. It was a one-stop shop, and literally within 30 seconds, everybody had everything that I had, on all their iPads. And so sometimes they would take the iPad home to work on it, to do more homework themselves, or they would just come back and the iPad would be right there. All the music, we just completely eliminated paper. We completely eliminated all binders, everything. Because so when I was worship pastor, but I was also on the road leading worship in this thing called Power and Love,
Yeah.
with Todd White, Dan Muller, and Tom Rotolo, and all these guys. So once a month, I would be on the road, and early on, before the app, I would take packets of music with me on the plane, which would literally be like 30 pounds of
Oh yeah.
paper. So like I would have 50 pounds in my suitcase, 30
Yeah.
pounds, 25 pounds of it would be stinking paper.
Oh, I
And
know.
so
That's right.
so then I would leave all my music there with them, and I'd come back with half the bag less of weight. But I literally would set up I would give them the set list and the packet of music, ahead of, like, when I got there. And then once OnSong came out and the iPad was created, I literally just put a couple iPads in my bag, no paper, and
Yeah.
I was able to take it anywhere on the road. I was. And so when I was done being a worship pastor, I connected with the creator and founder of OnSong, Jason Kickline, and we decided to have me work here. And
Yeah.
it's just been a blessing ever since then. And now, I help equip the business to be more successful in the worship side of things. But also, OnSong isn't just worship; it's also obviously clubs, pubs, anybody that's a musician out there,
Yeah.
secular side as well. So we've been super blessed and super fortunate. But Jason really created this app out of the heart of worship, and to help revolutionize how worship leaders do worship. And so,
Yeah, man.
for me personally, OnSong itself has, the reason why it's revolutionized how I lead worship back when it first was created and up until now, is I spend much less time on the technical side of things than spending time with the Lord and in preparation, where I
Yeah.
feel like, for a worship leader and a worship pastor, that's more of what we should be spending our time on anyway.
Yeah, man.
Is, what is the Lord saying for the service? How can we capitalize on last week's maybe momentum in the service, or what was God
Yep.
doing then, and have those conversations that mean more than getting frustrated with the technical side of, back in the day when we were in the key of G and you wanted to go to the key of A on a piece of paper, you'd have to do it longhand. You
Right.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And like get your pencil out and do things like that. I mean, I had stacks and stacks of just longhand of recreating charts, for different singers to do different parts and to do different,
Right.
things that now on the touch of a button, or because Jason created this amazing app, we can do all these things in seconds that took maybe a half an hour. And
Yeah,
so
man.
like it's not just revolutionized how I lead worship, it's revolutionized how I prepare for worship and
Yep.
how I come up with my time. And my time is much more valuable and much more well spent on the things in ministry that make a difference
Yeah.
than the technical side. So that's
I
sort of a
I agree,
in a
man.
nutshell.
That's so good. And I remember I have I had the old school binder, remember? And
Yeah.
like it just full, and I would have like, yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah, I'd have each song in as many keys as I could have it in the
Yeah,
binder. And it
stuffed
was,
in there. Yep.
oh yeah, dude,
Yep.
it's organized. And but you were ahead of the curve a bit. Like while you were doing, pastoring worship ministry, like you know, I I didn't even think about the iPad thing for a while. I actually, in
Yeah.
2020 is the first time I did, because I showed up to a conference I was asked to lead worship at with papers, and everybody was like,
Mm.
what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, dude, Setlist, man, I got them for you. I got this." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
Do you
we
know
don't
what
want
year it
paper.
is?
Yeah, we don't want paper." So I was way behind. You were ahead of the game, at least for me, man. I that's amazing.
Yeah, I had a really massive baseball card collection when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
I was to the point where like I need to take out my baseball cards in the same daggone binder that I'm putting the worship
Yeah,
papers
yeah.
back in with
Yeah.
the big three rings, and
Yeah.
sometimes it said Sir Beckett on the top, and inside of it was actually worship music and not baseball cards.
Yeah.
But
I know.
you know what I
That's
mean? Like
amazing.
that was our lives. We just had them stacked up, and
Yeah.
it just but I know people still use paper. I know people still like to do what they do. I just, for me, the the there's not much of a risk with OnSong because it's all right there for you. However, the risk is in the individual
Yeah.
wanting to make the change and knowing that they can do all their annotations, the Apple Pencil, they can do anything
Yeah.
that they want to do on what they were doing on the paper. They can do it on the iPad
Yeah.
seamlessly, and then others can get it much quicker. So I
Yeah.
just, listen, we all have a part of us that is still old school in something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like, I just encourage the older generation to cross over, and it's not as daunting or as risk taking as you might think.
Yeah.
However, it might seem and appear that way, but it's in reality it's not. Once you can stick a 2-pound iPad in your bag and go to worship across the country somewhere and not worry about anything, then you'll know
Right.
this is a good
Right.
idea for you.
Absolutely, man. I think for me too, I was the stubborn one in my, because like I'm old school. Like it was hard for me to go from a wedge, like a floor wedge, to in ears. You know what I mean? It was
Hmm.
hard. It was hard for me to get all that stuff. But then I realized that I was pastoring a team who needed
Yeah.
communication, who needed the ease of like doing things that actually benefits them in the ministry, creating a room. And so all of a sudden, like sometime, like as soon as I dropped like what I thought it had to be because of, being in, I guess you would consider me an older worship leader or whatever. But as soon as I dropped that, it was amazing, and had
Yeah.
such benefit. And I think we're gonna show. I want to introduce Dakota. Dakota, I want you to just tell a little bit about your story, but then it's a perfect segue because we want to show real quick just how easy it is to set up a set and all those features that and I know they probably won't be able to get to all of them, but the features that you may love about having print and paper, you can still do this kind of stuff on OnSong. So Dakota, tell us a little bit about your story, and then we'll jump into something like that because I think that could be cool.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And just to touch on your last point, like it can seem daunting at first to move from paper-based over to something like an iPad, but I kind of liken it to like learning a new instrument or updating your files on something like you said, Phil, with like the like in-ears and everything. Like
Yeah.
it's an investment of time, and it will pay off tenfold for you. You just gotta get over the little hump. You just need a little nudge, and once you get in it, you're gonna be like, wow, why haven't I been doing this for the last 5 or 10 years? Or
Yeah.
OnSong's been around 15 years.
Yeah.
So just encouragement for people there. Like if you're afraid, that's okay, but just give yourself a little bit of a push. Act like you're learning a new, not even a new instrument. I mean, OnSong will take you maybe a day to really get yourself immersed into a point where you're
Yep.
ready to go. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm Dakota. Gosh, grew up going to the same church that Jeremiah was actually worship pastoring at, Christ Community Church in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. And I was pretty involved in the youth group worship team, even the kids worship team. Learned how to play drums and bass and a few other things. So I loved worship from the start. Like any chance I could get, I would jump on board. I would play percussion. I'd play anything that you give me. Like give me a chance to worship. That's where my heart was. And
Yeah.
that's still very much where I am to this day. And I remember I was in youth group probably around 2009, 10, 11. So like right around when the iPad came out, but not a lot of people were using it. And for a time, I remember the paper binder days too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was a pain in my butt, man. They gave us our youth worship leader gave us binders, and all right, we're pulling out these songs and we're doing that for tonight, or we do like a conference, like a youth retreat or something. All right, we're gonna pull these out. Then I gotta put them back in. I gotta find out, another song or another key that someone did that, and I didn't know how to organize them in a way because it'd take 10 minutes to reorganize them, and then I just undo that later. So I
Yeah. Yeah.
remember the day that I first actually encountered OnSong was back in those youth days. Our worship leader came in with a bunch of iPads instead of our songbooks, and I'm like, whoa, like what are those? And he literally said, this is going to change your life. And he
Yeah.
he handed me an iPad with probably one of the first versions of OnSong ever on it, and I was just blown away. I was like, "This is so cool! I never have to organize anything. I don't have to deal with paper again." He
Yeah.
showed us how to change keys, and I was captivated. So
Yeah,
I will
man.
always remember my first experience with OnSong long before I worked for them, which is just an awesome God thing and irony in and of itself, that I get to now be a part of that company. But yeah, after youth and everything, as a young adult, I traveled with Jeremiah a good bit. We did a lot of those Power and Love conferences and toured and did stuff on the road. And in the background, I was stepping out as a worship leader myself a little bit more.
Oh,
There were
cool, man.
worship nights that we'd have that my friends and I would put on either at church or maybe at one of our houses, or get connected with a couple other worshipers and have a mini event. And I got my feet wet a little bit in leading and singing and doing some of that. I would say mentored under Jeremiah for a time, especially at a church in Hershey. We both did a little pit stop in, and
Oh,
then
cool.
after that, right around COVID time, 2020, I went to a church in Dillsburg, that I got involved in, and I was on staff as a worship leader there for a few years, and that was a
Oh,
great
wow.
experience for me too. That was the first time I was actually able to, like, I didn't necessarily have someone. I had someone over me, but I didn't have someone teaching me. This was a chance for me to, all right, like God, I get to step out and actually be that guy a little bit, and not in like a prideful way, but like let me put my money where my mouth is and actually practice what I've been taught. So that was an awesome experience, getting to
Uh,
lead people, connect with different age ranges, different, every variation of person there. Just being able to lead a team like that,
yeah,
was
man.
invaluable, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. So
It's awesome.
after that church, I'm at my current church now, just on the worship team doing stuff. If they need me to lead, that'll maybe happen one day. But right now, I'm enjoying chilling, just in the back seat. Drums, are usually the instrument I go to,
Yeah.
and still travel with Jeremiah or a couple other ministries or organizations. But yeah, that's kind of my story. So worship's always been a
That's
huge part of
amazing.
my life. It's what I love to do, what I want to do. So then being at a place like OnSong is just great because, like Jeremiah said, probably at least 50% of our audience are worshipers. 100% of our audience are, well, hopefully 100% are musicians. So being able to be around music, worship, and all that, it's just it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah,
So yeah.
man. Oh, dude, that's awesome. I think I know you told me that. I'm finding out a couple of things though that like I didn't even realize you like actually pastored like the worship side of a ministry. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah,
Like in
yeah. I
Dillsburg.
was on
Wow.
staff with a group of people, so we had like our worship director, but she didn't have a lot of experience and actually would ask me and a couple other worship leaders just for direction. So it was a blessing to just be able to help where we could. It was awesome.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, guys, you bring tons of experience and what you carry, and yeah, and I know Jeremiah's been coaching worship leaders for so many years too, and I've seen the fruit of that, and and even walking with you, Dakota, that's huge because you can see the fruit of all that, and it's amazing. So so glad to hear your stories a little bit, just have you on, have your wisdom on the podcast, and yeah, thank you guys so much. I'd love to, Dakota, if you're up for it, like maybe just sharing a little bit of the process with OnSong. I'd love to show some features and yeah, and really how because you sat down with me a couple months ago and like really went through everything with me, and it was
Yeah,
amazing. It was so easy. I was figuring it was before a trip I did and like it just worked, and it helped me so much while I was away,
that's great.
traveling with a bunch of worship leaders that were coming. It was cool because I had all these worship leaders coming from all over the world that I've never met before on a trip
Mm.
in Israel, actually. And so it was like having something as easy as OnSong, just in my arsenal was awesome. You know what I mean? And so I love for you to share a little bit. Maybe you show us a little bit too about how simple it is. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Let me try to share my screen here
okay,
with you, and I'll get right over to that. So hopefully you're seeing OnSong right now. So you are seeing OnSong, right?
we
It's
got it.
showing around.
Yeah, man,
Okay,
you're good to
good.
go.
So for people that might have never seen OnSong before, I'm actually running it on this laptop. It works with any Mac product, so it'll work with your MacBook, it'll work with your iPhone, and then like Jeremiah mentioned before, a lot of people prominently use it on their iPads. But it's a awesome tool. So you can right now I'm just looking at I think a CCLI song, but here we have just a really great way to organize all your songs. So you have like all your songs in your library here that I've imported from, oh gosh, anywhere. Praise charts, song select. You can do ultimate guitar. You can write your own songs. Chord charts of any type. Here's something from one of our artists we work with. So really, you can import from a multiple sources. OnSong works with Planning Center, Praise Chart, Song Select, a couple of these little guys, and then of course you see Dropbox files, import from all sorts of things, really anywhere on the web. So awesome tool just for wherever you have your songs stored, and then once they're in OnSong, it'll organize them really in a lot of different ways. So you have just my all songs list right now. I have, oh gosh, I don't know if it shows me. I probably have like 200 songs in here or something like that, and I can organize them by title, artist, key. If you declare a key for them, which
Yeah.
is really useful for if you're building set lists, you want to go from a song that's key of A to key of A. And you can obviously transpose. That's probably our biggest feature. Is you can transpose keys instantly. So if I actually go over here, let me minimize this right over here. If I go
While you're
right over
doing that,
here,
Dakota,
yeah,
I did
yeah.
want to say like one of the thing that got me was how I feel like it's so easy how it brings together um all like all of these different platforms in a really really simple way, like and while you were showing
Yeah.
me that stuff, I was like, oh man, so that's so needed. And it gets like, it gets complicated with trying to figure out who uses what and all these different things on teams and as I travel. And so that idea that you can actually, it integrates with all of these different things is amazing. So sorry I interrupted you, but keep going.
For sure. No, you're welcome to interrupt anytime, man. Yeah, one of our biggest features, and I mean, if you ask Jeremiah and I, probably our favorite feature, and a lot of people's favorite features, just the ability to change the key on the fly. Like Jeremiah had mentioned before, gone are the days where you're in the key of A, you want to go to the key of G, and you have to X out the chords and transpose in your head, and music theory. Right now, I can just go to the key of C, and if you actually just watch the chord chart as I click through these different keys, it
Yeah.
changes instantly. Now, this intro is formatted a little bit weird, so that's why that's not changing. But if you just look at like the verse or the chorus,
Yeah.
and I can go to maybe a weird key like B flat. That's every acoustic guitar player's favorite key. So if I want to like maybe capo
Yeah.
3, and I'd put my capo on my third fret. Now I'm in the key of G, but it's still actually the key of B flat, capo
Yeah.
3. So even just that alone is like that's the game changer. I don't know if
It,
you have any thoughts, feel free to interject as well. But yeah, so that's a game changer. Lots of other really cool customization options as well. We have just this little tab alone, or this little button right here gives you 5 tabs of different ways that you can format your songs. You can do as fancy as you want, like a lot of people requested over the years, like having 2 columns available. That way you don't have to scroll down as far. My whole song is basically on one page
yeah, yeah,
now.
absolutely. Yep.
So that's awesome. If you want your chords to maybe look a little bit different, maybe you don't like this teal color, you can change the highlighting color. Or you want your chords to be a little bit bigger, you can see I can adjust that with different sliders or maybe my lyrics. So really great if you have like visual impairments, or you just like your words really, really big so you don't miss your spot that you're talking or singing
Dude,
at.
these
Um,
seem simple, but a lot of this stuff is game changer stuff, man. Like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for a guy like wearing I'm wearing bifocals these days, so I that's helpful for me, man, a
There you
ton.
go.
And
I mean,
yeah,
you pair this with a I don't know how big the iPads are nowadays. Are they like almost 13 inches? If you
yeah,
pair this with a 13-inch iPad, you're gonna be hard pressed to start
I'm not
missing
sure.
your spot.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can can commit that
Yeah.
big to it.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's got a couple more like maybe not as complex, but not as often used features. Like we have our chord diagrams. So this is really cool for like worship teams. You're almost always dealing with volunteers. A lot of churches, and maybe they're not as familiar with how to do. If I'm doing if I take off my capo here, I bring it back to the key of B flat. This OnSong will actually go through and see all the chords in the song and show you the chord diagrams of how
Man,
to
that's
play those
wild.
chords that are in the song. So maybe
Yeah.
you don't want a capo and you're a somewhat beginner intermediate guitarist and you don't know how to play a B flat, and there's obviously a like a bar chord, but you have different variations, or even for piano players too. You can do different instruments like
Dude, that
that.
is wild.
Um,
That's so
isn't that
awesome.
crazy?
Yeah. That's so helpful. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So, and
Some of
I
the
know we'll
features
probably
I
get
keep
into
forgetting that are there. I mean, that's amazing, dude. That's so good.
it's definitely revolutionary. I don't know of anything out there that is just as intuitive, in depth, and I mean, we if you need OnSong to do something, odds are it can do it. Like we have ways built into the app that it's tailor made for everyone. Does their music worship a little bit differently. They like their things, worship leaders can be pretty particular. Musicians can be, and OnSong can adapt to all of that.
Yeah.
And I know we'll probably get into set building a little bit, but there's I could go on and on. I'll stop myself, but I mean, there's so much power, like you said, Philip, in here, and man, I mean, this is light years away from even my first experience with OnSong. We've added so much. We're actively adding stuff to it. We're
Yeah.
super in tune with our user base, I would say too. I don't know, probably at least 75% of our features that we've ended up putting in here have been requests from our users,
Yeah.
just
Wow.
saying, hey, can it do this? And we're like, well, not yet, but it will next week. and
So
here it is.
wild.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, let me
You
stop
got it.
stop there.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully I give you a little bit of an overview. I don't want to hog the whole time.
No, dude, no. I think that was my heart too, is just having, like starting the process and then actually letting them explore, because that's the thing that I think that a bunch of stuff I love about it, just from the years of worship ministry, some of the things that, you'd have to do 5 steps for, you can do in 1 step on OnSong. So I love that. Yeah, even like, yeah, just there's a ton. So there's a ton of upgrades, and I think the point for me too is that hey, get out there, download the app, you know, and start to figure it out because really it's customizable, and I think that's what makes it stand out. It's customizable for your style, what you love, and how you best communicate to your team. So it's amazing.
And the one thing I wanted to add to it is the one of the big things for us is that we want to make sure that musicians and people and worship leaders and clubs and pubs and whoever's creating set lists
Yeah,
that they're able to keep their work. They're able to keep their set list. They're able to go back.
yeah,
This is a big point for us, and so you can integrate with or import from Song Select, Praise Charts, and then once they're imported in there, you have them. And so like, I'm not you know dogging another company, but there's like even with Planning Center, they have the app called Music Stand that goes with it. That's fine. No problem. We integrate with them. We love those guys. They're great.
yeah,
However, if you left your church, unfortunately, if you relocated, or if you went, unfortunately, if you were let go, or your family moves, or you just go to another church, you're at the mercy of that username and password from that church. And most horror stories that we hear are obviously the church doesn't allow them to continue to have the username and password. So
yeah,
all
man.
those sets, all those sets, all those set lists for years and years and years, Easter, Good Friday, Christmas, and then the other 47 Sundays, you have officially lost them. You will
Yeah.
not be able to go back in there and get them. And
Wow.
so our thing is with OnSong is when you create a set list, like I can go back if I have my iPad here, I can go back almost 13 years and see
Crazy.
how I led worship and what songs I did for 2014 Good Friday service. I could tell you what I did,
That's
and I
wild.
have it's crazy, and
Yeah,
some of those songs are coming back. But anyway, that's
I
another
know.
topic. But
No, for
but
sure.
like I can go back and see what I did. I can reference it. I can say, hey, last Sunday, what did I do real quick? And then if I can then create set list with like the church I'm at. I can do that, but then I can also create books in there as well that I have all my Good Friday songs in one book, and I have all my um, Easter Sunday songs and all my Christmas songs. So
Yeah.
when it comes time to do those services that are once a year, I don't have to go back into my all songs of 800 songs and look and see what I
Right.
did uh, for Good Friday. I actually have them already populated out that I have maybe 15 of my favorite Good Friday songs that now I'm saving time, saving energy. I'm looking and seeing what I
It's
did
amazing.
last year,
Yeah.
and I don't have to scroll through all the other stuff, but I can also add the latest Good Friday song that we want to do that's new. I can add it to the set list, and then it'll be there for next year. I can look back on. So
Yeah.
you're able to keep all of your work. You're able to keep all of your set list, all your books, all of your content. You're able to keep,
Yep.
and so it's tied to your Apple ID, and so we do integrate with Planning Center and Music Stand and Praise Charts and Song Select. So all of that stuff coming over is yours, and
Yeah.
you keep it, and you can use it, for the length of your time with OnSong. And so
Mhm.
Yeah.
um,
It's amazing.
that's a huge piece for us that we unfortunately have heard of so many worship leaders lost 10 years worth of work, 8 years worth of work, 3 years worth of work, and they're kind of going back to the well trying to figure out what to do. And
Yeah.
that's a massive piece for us because we love creative people. We want the creatives to keep their stuff.
Yeah, man. No, that's an amazing point. And I know that for me too, like I I could never I could never go back and look at worship sets I even did 3 years ago, you know,
Right.
currently because
But
the
you wish
see,
you could.
yeah, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's a starting point for me. Sometimes it's just like I don't know how easy it's so easy for me to just forget that man, this song really landed, you know,
Yeah. Yep.
and then all of a sudden, but when you're looking back to that set, you remember and you're like, oh man.
Yep.
I totally forgot about how did I
Absolutely.
forget this song? Yeah, I just did that with You Deserve what is it? You Deserve It All. And the We
Oh
Give
Oh
yeah.
You
yeah.
Highest Praise. I was like, why haven't I
Yeah.
done that song in forever? I mean, that one hits. I remember every
Yeah.
time, that bridge on
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
But yeah, what a great tool, man, and such a good point. I'm with you guys. That makes total sense to me, and it's it's great to be a part of the church and the church's system, but it's also like remembering that like God's called you to a ministry and you need to steward that for yourself as well. In every season, no matter what happens, if you're at this church or if you're traveling or whatever it is. So that's amazing. Such a cool tool. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
I'll do a little shameless self promotion for you too, Philip. So if anyone listening to this, and you might already have this in the description or anywhere. If anyone listening to this wants to try OnSong, like if you don't have it already, we actually are working obviously with Philip. And if you go to onsongapp.com slash the plus, like the plus symbol slash plus slash worship house, that'll get you a 10% discount off of OnSong. I think it's 10%. I
it's
think it's
amazing.
10%,
Yeah,
but that'll be like for the lifetime of your account too.
yeah.
So if you want to support Philip and try out OnSong at a discounted cost, be sure to use that. I'm sure Philip, you'll probably put that somewhere or
I
whatever,
will.
but
That's
I'll
so
do the
good.
self promo so you don't have to. But
Oh no.
yeah,
Well, I
definitely
honestly,
try it
that's the
out.
part I always forget when I'm talking, like
That's why we're here.
telling them, "Hey, you can get a 10% discount." I'm just like usually telling people about it, and I totally forget
Yeah,
to say it. So, thank you for saying
yeah,
that. That's helpful.
of course, of course. Yeah, it's a
Amazing,
it's a
man.
win-win on all sides. So
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. Thank you, dude. Well, let's talk a little bit about, I'd love to just talk process, like we'll get into a couple practicals and real quick and but tell me, what's the process that you take while picking a worship set? This is a question that I get a lot is, and I've actually come in and spoken at a couple of different conferences about picking worship sets. You know what I mean? Like what's your process? How do you go about it? I'd love to just hear a little bit of that, from you, and just see what's your process. When you're going to pick a worship set, how do you build it? And anything like that would be amazing.
yeah, I
You,
mean,
you want me to go or Dakota?
that's
Go
fine.
Okay.
Jeremiah. Yeah, go for it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I was
So,
looking at you. You couldn't even tell. I'm
oh,
not.
yeah, our camera. I'm looking at,
I'm
yeah,
just
whatever.
kidding. Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah. So when I create a set list, one, it could be from multiple different vantage points. One, it could be because I'm the worship pastor at a church and I did it the week before. You know what I mean? And so you're in
Yeah.
that context doing it every week. Or
Yeah.
sometimes I do a worship set because I'm a guest worship leader somewhere and I'm making a set that I don't know the flow of what's happening at the church because it's not
Right.
my, and I'm trying to understand what would work in that setting. Or if you're doing a conference with people that are paying to be there because they want to be there and they're there to worship and they're there to have a great experience, you have that element as well. So I think there's at least minimally three different like demographics of how or why you would create a set list. So I'll just go to the more common one, obviously, which would be your local church on a Sunday morning
Yeah.
as
Yeah, it's good.
the vantage point of like a worship pastor. So for me, when I was there for a long time, for me to create a worship set, I want to make sure one that I'm I understand the series of what the church is being, or what the senior pastor is speaking on for that particular month. I want to make sure that I understand the focal point of we're talking about love for the month of May or
Yeah.
whatever, or we're talking about you know kindness or forgiveness, whatever it may be, with certain parts and certain excerpts in the scriptures. That to me is always, you can never go wrong by trying to continually merge the worship with the word together to some degree. Doesn't mean you always have to stay with that theme every single song. I'm not saying that, but just
Yeah.
it just helps the flow of what people are receiving and making sure things have a little bit of continuity to it. So that's always
Dude,
the first thing I'm always, yeah,
that's huge. That I just wanted to
yeah.
say, like that connect, like how many worship leaders you probably know more than me, but that just don't know really what's going on or wanting to make their worship sets fit it all into what the church is actually doing. I
Yeah.
mean, like that's
Well,
huge.
I,
Yeah.
I I know people do that,
Yeah.
and I honestly I think more times than not the part time or the volunteer worship leader
Yeah.
would do that, not out of not wanting to be in continuity with the senior pastor, just because there's not enough time allocated to have those conversations or to have the all staff meetings with, if you're a
Yeah.
full-time person. So I think if you're a full-time worship leader and worship pastor, that should be your number one thing, because one, you have the time, the ability, the resources, and the opportunity to get the lay of the land for that particular month of what the objective may be. So
Hmm.
the part-time person or the volunteer worship leader has to do a little bit more homework or ask a little bit more questions, probably, if they would want to do that, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that and
Yeah.
be have the continuity of everybody in the house moving together. So that would be my first and foremost thing. No matter of if you're full-time, part-time, or volunteer, get the lay of the land, understand what's going on thematically that month. That would be huge as far as just working together and wanting to do things as a team.
Yeah. Come on.
Secondly, after that, um, I I would then, uh, so again, if you're a full-time worship pastor, you are working on music a lot. You're working on hearing what's new, hearing what's out there. Also, you're working yourself on your craft. You're working yourself on your skill. So for me, I would spend a few hours, probably maybe more than that, throughout the week, just worshiping and learning new songs and learning older songs, bringing them back, whatever it may be. I would be working on my craft and my skill. And so, and here's the reason why: I would never want to pick a song that I haven't probably worshiped already 10 hours to myself, just in my own time with God.
Dude.
Because for me, it's something that, one, I don't want to, I can't perform. I'm not a performer.
Right.
So I never was called to perform. That's just me personally. That's what I just don't have. I don't know how many Christmas services I have made mistakes on because I'm doing a song that I've never done before, just because it was asked to do it, and those things are fine. You do them once in a while. But I have made far more mistakes on the piano playing songs that I just had to learn that week than I ever have leading worship with songs that have become who I am as a person and what I've worshiped through for at least 8 to 10 hours myself on my own time or in my office, just ministering to the Lord through that song. So
Yeah.
it becomes second nature. It becomes old hat to some degree as far as your muscle memory on how you do the song. So like, unless it's a request or a senior pastor is asking or a teaching
Right.
pastor that week is asking for a certain thing, and there is massive amounts of grace to do that, and we've all had to do that. But 80 to 90% of the time, if your worship songs, you should have already worshiped through them yourself, and you should know them very well. You should have ministered to the Lord through those songs multiple hours, in my opinion, and then that song is ready for you to then worship, to lead a congregation
Yeah.
through that song,
Yeah, that's
and
great.
and go that. Um, so that would be like the second thing. So you would know a little bit of a shorthand of, here's the 15 songs I've been really worshiping and marinating in my heart and really going after, and maybe half of them are within a 2 or 3 months of being new.
Yeah.
But so then in that, obviously, at a church setting, the next thing I would do was making sure that, um, I would look at the week before and say, wow, this song really went over well, or
Hmm.
this song really had a lot of participation or response. And I would then, people, a lot of times worship leaders, if they don't get a lot of good response after leading a new song after the first week, they instantly throw it in the trash. And I
Right. Right.
don't understand, because a congregation takes minimum 3 weeks to learn a new song, minimum.
Right.
And sometimes it's longer than that. So worship leaders, worship pastors, if you feel that a song is on your heart, and you should do it because it's going to be impactful for their hearts and connecting with God, then don't, like, give it a couple weeks. Like, let it marinate in the house as well. And so, what you don't want to do is be that guy that does one song, a new song, and only does it once a every 6 weeks. That's new, and then everything just becomes new for everybody. Then
Right.
that then that's not good for people. So,
Mhm.
um, and then, like, if the theme is love, I would go through my, like, on my all songs, and I could even use the filter on there of what songs in my all songs have the word love in it or has the theme of love, and then I could go there on OnSong and look at that, and I had 10 songs that I could at least think about and look at to see
Yeah.
how they would fit thematically with what's going on. And some of them would be upbeat love songs, some of them would be middle of the road, middle tempo wise, and some of them would be worshipful slow songs. I could at least look at the repertoire and say, here's how I'm going to try and put this together, worship set wise. But I think the bigger thing is knowing the congregation, knowing what's working, also picking songs. This is a side note. Picking songs that are majority in your set list that are vertical to the Lord, that minister to the Lord.
Yeah.
We get too caught up in singing songs and worshiping songs on horizontal, how we feel about God,
Yeah.
how we are how our feelings are engaged. Those songs are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. But me personally, I have a conviction of not leading a song set of 5 songs for a Sunday morning that talks about my feelings toward God,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, I'm not there at church to really go over my feelings and make God feel good about me
Yeah.
and me feel good about him. It's about, I'm here to honor the Lord. I'm here to minister to his heart. I'm here to do everything I possibly can to pour my adoration and love and gratitude on honoring the King,
Yeah.
and stay vertical than I am to be like, um, this song makes me feel good about my understanding of God and his attributes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
those songs are great. I'm not isolating a people group or a genre. They are wonderful. But like, I remember the song with Bethel, you are, like, it was, uh I sing because you are good, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
dance because.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's actually a both one. I sing because he is good. You see what I
Yeah.
mean? That has both vertical and horizontal in it. And that's why I love that song so much. One, it was a great opener. And
Yeah.
this was years, but I'm just saying that you have to look at the lyrics and the what is being said. I sing because he is good, but
Yeah.
I'm not, everything I do isn't dependent on that. You know what I mean? But I you know, the holy of holies, the throne room type of worship songs that just that point to the revelations and the honoring and the ministering to the Lord's heart. Like,
Yeah.
ministering to his heart is what I want to do.
Come on.
That's why I worship. I
Yeah.
don't worship to get something. I don't worship to be blessed. I don't worship to have my life be good.
Yeah.
I don't do it. That's not worship. I worship because he created me. He created me to worship. He created me for others. I was created for others. So if
Yeah.
I understand that I'm created for others, then my interaction with him is at such a different understanding and an angle.
Yeah. It's good.
So I would incorporate those type of songs in my set lists. I would
Yep.
incorporate thematically what's going on in the service, or in the genre of the teaching that's being done as well. And also, I mean, hey, I'm looking at making the keys easy as well. I
Yep.
sing in the key of G, which for most congregations, the men in the church love my range, just because I'm much lower than most people,
Yeah.
and I'm not Chris Tomlin or Jason Upton that could, peel paint off the wall with how high they could sing, and which is beautiful and amazing and awesome, but not necessarily always congregationally conducive for the men. So that's my, like, maybe the
Yeah.
only thing I do to help the people in the ranges, but like,
Yeah, I get a
like,
lot of criticism for I'm always up. I think I probably sing alto officially, something like that. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
everybody that I've always led with, I'm more the congregational guy
yeah,
to guy dude range than the
yeah, yeah.
stratosphere people. But and they're
That's
awesome. Trust me,
funny.
I don't have that range, so I would love that at some point. But I'm going the other way. So,
Yeah, no, that's
but
good.
uh,
Do you work
but
do you work on
go ahead.
keeping the keys like when you're making a set, do you try to keep it all in the same key or are you good with like switching every song? Like what's your stance on that?
I'm not. I don't have a. I think doing everything in the key of G, or everything in the key of A, or everything in the key of whatever that is, I think
Yeah.
it can happen. I, I
Yeah.
would I would I would tend on I would lean more toward on what are the songs being more important and relevant to what's happening as selecting them than I would be because the key
That's
fits
good.
something.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
don't
good.
necessarily just fit something in because of the key. However, I don't like to change probably more than one or two keys in the whole set
Sure.
myself, period, because I mean my I I just I just never really did that. And so like I would hang around. Now sometimes I would do a key in the a song in the key of C just because that's where the range was, that's where it was. But then obviously the next one would probably be a G after that. You know,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
a C and a G obviously go together.
Yep.
As far as key selection and stuff like that. So I probably could mess around between a G and a C a couple times, then maybe land around a G and an A, and then I
Yeah.
would really only have maybe one key change going from the G to the A in that family
Yeah, yeah.
of
That's
keys.
good.
So I you know I don't I'm not stuck to that, but I wouldn't do five or four key changes.
Yeah.
But now I know people have the whole pads and like ramping it up, pulling it down, all that kind of stuff, and I think that's all beautiful and wonderful. That's just not everybody has those features or people playing as accessible as other places.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's good. Okay, I know I interrupt you there, but this is such good wisdom, man. Like, I think you're hitting stuff. Obviously, showing, you've been through, a lot of different churches, a lot of different settings, and this is all
Yeah.
hidden so good. And I think too is important, just to comment on a couple things, but I think this idea that like knowing your service, knowing like so like if you're in a prayer room with one or two people and it's like this real intimate setting, that's a different preparation than for Sunday morning,
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
like, hey, it's just this is me and you, God, and that's beautiful. And you need those
Yep.
moments. And then there's these, but when you're prepping for a congregation, when you're prepping for like a community, and you're just like, Lord,
Yep.
Lord, we want you. We don't want to just have a service about what I'm feeling or anything. Like we just want to encounter you. We want to praise you. And so I think those distinctions for me really stand out. And I think that's very practical help for worship leaders. Like know your service, know your community, and
Yep.
don't let practice be the first time you're playing through that song. You know what I
Oh my gosh,
mean?
no,
Like
no, no
those are
way. And
key.
and absolutely, that's really good, Phil. And the other point is, as a worship leader, though, you or worship pastor leader, whatever, you have the responsibility though to lead the congregation in worship.
Yeah.
You can't take those quiet moments that you're learning those songs and just crying out to the Lord, and then just all of a sudden insert that into a Sunday morning in front of 500 people.
Right.
It won't translate. It's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's between you and the Lord over here. Oh, when you're leading, pick songs that are engaging,
Yeah.
engage the crowd, engage them, because people are coming from all different various issues in the
Yep.
car, in the morning with their kids, or a bad week at work, or a great week at work, and they just want to be full of gratitude to the
Right.
Lord. Like people don't understand, or worship leaders need to sometimes put themselves in the 13th pew's position of that family coming in and
Yep.
saying, man, what's going to help them engage in their encounter with the Lord? Not encounter with me, or not
Right.
encounter with the worship team itself, but what
Yeah.
what can I do as a conduit, as a vessel, as somebody that's trying to get as many people connected to the heart of God as possible? I have to engage them in worship. So I wouldn't. I know there's a school of thought. You do a couple fast songs, a couple medium songs, and you go to work, and then you go to slow songs. That is okay. That's definitely what's been out there for decade
Yeah.
upon decade. But if you feel from God that you have a song that is just powerful, that you want to do, that you want to just see where it goes, don't shrink back in picking it, and don't shrink back in wanting to communicate that song to the congregation for whatever purpose is there. So like
Yeah.
don't get hung up in what has been and what has been done, because people most of the times, in my opinion, if I'm in a service, whatever happened that wasn't a part of the norm actually is what touched my heart.
Oh yeah. Yep.
is actually the thing that, because I can come into church myself if I'm not leading worship and know what the predictability is of the hour or an hour and a half is going to be. And sometimes that stinks.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's my own lack of wanting to be challenged by God in his presence as well. So like, I just, for me, leading worship in church service settings, not necessarily conference settings, but in church service settings, I like to keep things moving because I
Yeah.
like to touch as many people as possible as far as a song or a revelation or something like that. I want to stay spontaneous, like you meant, or we probably talked about. Want to stay spontaneous as well to know when God
Yeah.
comes in to repeat a phrase or to just hang out for a moment or just to do whatever he's saying at the moment. They all those factors have to be on the table, but it's far greater, in my opinion, to be prepared going into something, be over prepared, know where you want to go, and then God, it's so much easier, in my opinion, to understand an audible, not an audible, yeah, an audible, like we're going to go over here instead of over here.
Yeah.
Those are so much easier to identify than to just show up with one or two songs and say, "Here's what we're doing. We're just going to do that," and that's
Yeah.
not leading people. That's, to me, just at times just being sloppy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not being in preparation for what you're doing for, because everybody else is preparing for that Sunday. The worship leader and the worship pastor has to prepare just as much, if not more, um, for that. So
Yeah.
knowing your demographic, knowing what you're doing, but leading in whatever setting you're in, leading in a church service, leading in a prayer group, leading in a home group, leading in a big conference, leading on the road as a guest. Just lead,
Come on.
lead is what is on my heart to always communicate, even when I consult. You
Yeah.
gotta lead, because that place that you have been given by God, that platform, whether it's a 50 people, 5 people, or 500 people, is still a place and an authority that God has given you for that moment. And I don't want to just flippantly go through something. I want to know that God has me here for that moment, and He's placed an authority and an understanding on what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mess that up. That's
Yeah,
a
it's
gift.
amazing. It's refreshing because you know the typical answer that you get is, this many fast songs, this many so slow songs, and like I think that's and that's why I love having you on this because it's like that's what we need to hear, like that kind of
Yeah,
preparation for a set. That's what worship leaders need to be understanding and getting and implementing in their ministries wherever they go, and
yeah.
so yeah, man, that's super super helpful. I would love to hear, and I don't know, this is just a random thought I had, but what's your thought? And I love how like you're pretty like straightforward. That's one thing I've learned with you, Jeremiah. But like it's amazing. And I know. What's your thought though about churches that say you can't have chords on the stage? I know,
Mm.
I know it's like I would just
You ready
love to
for a
know.
10-minute rant, Philip?
No,
No, I'm
no,
just kidding.
no. Uh, you're saying churches that are asking their musicians and worship leaders to memorize everything. Is that
Everything,
basically what
yeah,
you're saying?
every Sunday you can't have any
Um,
any paper on the stage, any iPad, anything.
well, um, first and foremost, if that's what you're being asked to do by your senior pastor, then I would honor that and honor the house, honor what they're requiring and what they're asking.
Yeah,
Um, that will be first and foremost. Now, if that is something that you struggle with personally and you don't feel that you can come through on that every single week, then I would understand that this is looking like a round peg square hole. It's just not going to fit.
yeah,
And so then I would ask the Lord to move you on or move you to some other vein that's there. But if you are super comfortable with it, there are a massive amount of musicians out there that are super great at memorizing, super great at you know doing worship without any assistance whatsoever, or maybe a cheat sheet of just the key that they're doing the songs
yeah,
in.
yep,
That is the worship leaders, in my opinion's personal conviction on how they lead worship, and that's wonderful. I personally don't know how that you could do that long term, because if I look at my own song with all the songs that I've done over the years, it's impossible for me to have memorized 400 songs, to to do, or even 40 songs to do on the, and feel like I can still be spontaneous and still feel like I'm flowing in the spirit and things like that.
Sure.
So if to me the reason why those things are happening is aesthetically. I don't think any of that has anything to do with the spirit of God or God showing up or any of that. I think it's a look that I guess that particular church is looking for, of being clean stage, clean, no monitors, everybody in the ears, and click. They're clean, slick,
Yeah.
and produced, and because they have 58 minutes to get their service in, because that's just what they're doing. And
Right.
I I'm not against that, because if their senior pastor and their leadership is doing a 57-minute service and they're able to put it on TV out for the masses to get, and that's the slot that they have, and that's the restrictions they get from ABC, CBS, Fox, whatever, and
Mhm.
that's what they're putting their ministry dollars toward to reach that, then I think you go with that, you roll with that, because that's the specific call that God has called that church to do. Um, but it doesn't in my opinion, having an iPad in front of you or not, or even if it's a piece of paper, I don't think that alters anything in the room. I don't think it changes anything with the spirit of God, or if I'm fluid in this or not fluid in that. I think that worship leaders and worship pastors should be skilled enough that if they have an iPad up there and the charts and stuff like that, it's an assisting of the craft that's already been worked on.
Mhm.
You can't be up there leading worship like this, reading
Right.
the stuff like that, and people just know, like, you didn't go through this, you didn't learn this and practice this and put in your time.
Right.
That's easy for me. For me, is when I lead worship, majority 90% of the time is not the chords that I'm looking at. It's making sure that the lyrically wise, I'm singing it properly, or trying to go through the memorization of it. It's not reading the words, reading the chords, looking at it like I'm reading a book for the first time. That
Mhm.
can't be the flow. That
Yeah.
cannot be the expression. You're going to look like you're reading a teleprompter,
Right.
and that's not a good vibe when you're leading worship.
Right.
Keep
Right.
your eyes up. Keep looking forward. Look at the crowd. Look at the engagement. I'm telling you, man, when I look at the congregation and I'm leading worship and I see somebody crying, or I see somebody being moved of God,
Yeah.
that's a sign.
Come
That's
on.
something that is God's doing in the room. And if I'm here looking at a teleprompter all the time, I'm not seeing that. Or
Yeah.
on the flip side, if I'm just not a guy that would lead worship without having somewhat of an assistant for me, whether it's the lyrics or the words or something to assist
Yeah.
me. I wouldn't go on stage and lead worship for 40 minutes and not have anything in front of me, because of that's what's being required or requested of me. I don't see preachers going up and preaching without the Bible or any notes. You know what I mean? Up front for 40 minutes or 50 minutes, just
That's a
just
good word.
talk, guys. That
Yeah.
that wouldn't be very good either. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So everybody should have their thing that assists them while they're doing what God's calling them to do, whether it's worship leading or preaching or speaking, whatever. Everybody has some type of assistance to help them. So I don't understand why churches long term would say, "Hey, shut it all down," or you, like, for other churches I've been at, they use the massive confidence monitor in the back,
Sure. Yeah.
like a 90-inch screen or something like
Yeah.
that, and but and that's fine as well. I've led worship at churches where I've had nothing in front of me and it's been on the back screen as an assistant tool, and that's fine. I've worked with that as well, but uh, I just I'm I'm not um I don't see the need for everything to be so clean and
Yeah.
so wrapped up, and no assisting of any kind for the worship leader or for the musicians, unless, like I said, there's a massive vision behind doing a service because it's being promoted out in the world somewhere on TV, and that's the vibe you have, and that's the
Sure.
stipulations you have that way. And so, but even then, if you're doing that, I still don't see why an iPad in front of you would make the viewer's experience on TV any different than if they were in the house. I'm not sure I understand all that, but
Yeah.
I
Well,
would want my musicians and my employees and my worship leaders and my people to be as comfortable as possible to do what I'm asking them to
yeah.
do if I'm the senior pastor.
Well, that's the point too for me is like, I think with worship in general, we're seeing different skill level musicians all the time. You know what I
100%.
mean? And like for me, it's like I need to create a space where seasoned musicians, if they really, they don't need music and whatever, can come alongside the next generation of musicians and all that stuff. And so for me too, that's always been one of my things. Like the confidence monitor, and I love your take on it because it's very balanced too. It's like you don't want a worship leader or a piano player that's just staring at the chords, but in the same token, you want to be able to provide also because of the nature of worship and all the people and all the different age group and all the things that we're trying to bring together. Like I'm that guy that's like I kind of want to have the options for all of them. Like the confidence monitor, that's
Absolutely.
great. That works for like a vocalist, like having the confidence monitor, and you've got the lyrics up there, or but if I'm bringing a young guy in who's just coming in, he's never even doesn't know worship, but he's had an encounter with Jesus and he wants to play, it's like I want him to be free to have,
Yeah.
chords and all that stuff. So yeah, that balance is so key, so important.
What's the alternative then? Is every once in a while you're risking it with that singer singing the solo
Yeah,
without anything up there, and then what happens if they forget the words?
right,
Then you're going to go back to post production and have to cut that out anyway.
right.
Uh,
And
You know
and
what I mean?
and
You have to cut out the mistake.
yeah, and maybe it's discouraging. That could be discouraging for a singer. Like, hey, maybe I'm not cut out for this. I obviously can't do. That kind of stuff happens all
Yeah.
the time. You know,
Yeah,
so
so
yeah,
why not let her just look over real quick to have
yeah,
a quick look of that lyric, and so she feels comfortable. Like if it goes this way to entertainment, I'm out.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm not worship is not entertainment. And
yeah.
so
That's good, man.
I just can't, me personally, I have a conviction I can't do that. I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah,
So
that's a good word,
And
dude.
one of the ways that you can even balance something like this, like in the using OnSong as a tool to kind of get that happy medium is sometimes we've been at churches before where there's one worship leader, one person on stage using OnSong, and then they have actually it was just at Jason's church who started the company. You'd plug in OnSong to like an HDMI splitter, and then you'd get like they put confidence monitors like on the floor.
Oh, cool.
They
Yeah,
just little TVs. They like homemade them and put like a bunch of nice looking wood and stuff around them. So it just looked like stage decor at that point. It
yeah,
wasn't anything big or flashy. But then you had one person, one worship leader, just navigating through the songs or hooking up a foot pedal to scroll through, and then everyone else can look down for a reference point or something like that, and then they're engaged. There's nothing in front of them. So just to bring up just a capability of OnSong to for this discussion, you can get a nice hybrid there. OnSong even does like lyrics projection, so you could have that confidence monitor
yeah,
like he was talking about in the back, like the
yep,
90-inch TV. You can have someone running OnSong, and you get your chord chart view or whatever. Maybe for the musicians, but for the singers that don't need that and they just want to see the words, you have lyrics projection in the back that's coming off a splitter or hooked up to an Apple TV from your iPad that's running OnSong to there.
yeah,
So that's kind of the nice thing is that there's so much flexibility
yeah.
depending
It's
on what
awesome.
every house is looking for and what the pastor's discussions are, with the worship pastor or whatever.
Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. So many features. It makes it, and that's what I want, for worship leaders and their
yeah,
communities is just to be
Yeah.
resourced, to have the things to walk out what God's called you to do in your ministry. And I think you guys, resource so well, and you've thought about everything, and that's that's absolutely amazing. Well, just about, it's
most
close.
barely.
It's close. I want to do this.
No,
What's that? Do you have something? Or are you going to say something?
no, there's always something somebody will tell us that we haven't thought about, but we'll
Yeah.
take it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
man. You guys do an amazing job with it. And I wanna I like to end these just with just a little advice. And we've covered a lot of worship set building. There's I really feel like there's some real like gold in some of these conversations. I want you, as you're listening through it, man, like there's some great life-changing things for leading worship and for picking worship sets. So that's amazing. But I'd love to just if you guys could both do this, just a bit of advice. If you wish you knew as a young worship leader, as a young musician, getting into worship, what's something that you wish you knew, and just any kind of advice, would be amazing. So, Dakota, you can start, or whoever wants to start, and then that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I would answer that question with don't be careful not to replace your personal ministry time, like in your quiet place with the Lord,
Hmm.
with worship leading. That's a trap that I unfortunately fell into for a lot of my younger years. Is my time with the Lord, a majority of it was when I was on stage, whether I was drumming, whether I was the worship leader, whether I was doing something. And it's an easy trap to fall into because you're like, man, this is good. I'm ministering to the Lord. And there's obviously nothing wrong with that. That's what we were made to do. But
Yeah.
the danger comes when you replace your time off stage in the quiet place with the Lord with only what you're doing on stage. And a lot of times people who do that can feel a sort of frustration on stage, or feel like, man, I'm a little bewildered why, like, things aren't taking off like I want, or it just
Yeah.
doesn't feel as fulfilling. Well, that would be because that's not what fulfills you. What you do on stage should be a byproduct of what you're doing throughout the week. When you wake up in the morning and you spend 10 or 15 minutes in the word praying to the Lord like every day, and you make that your routine, you will see the fruit of that on stage. So I guess I'm just saying, on stage worship, when you're doing that, should be a supplement to to the main part of what you do every day with the Lord. Don't
Wow.
substitute that only for your ministry time,
Yeah.
because it's not what you were made to do, and it's not fulfilling. And uh, man, you can be cheating yourself out of so much more that the Lord has for you. It's, He'll take
Yeah.
any time He can get with you. Don't get me wrong, but man, worship can be so much more impactful for you, the congregation, and everyone, when that's not the only time you're spending with the Lord.
That's
So that
good,
would be my
man.
piece.
That's a good word,
It
dude.
is. It really is. I can dovetail off that a little bit. I think for me, with that, doing worship all the time, every week, for years and years and years and years, I think, I mean, there'd be some Sunday, some years I think I led 46, 47 Sundays a year, maybe
Yeah.
48, for like a decade.
Yeah.
And then like maybe another decade after that was like 40 Sundays a year. Um, I you get in, it is a trap. You get in this trap thinking that my relationship with the Lord, because I'm focused on the Lord and I'm creating worship sets and I'm spending time with the Lord in worship, you feel like that's your relationship with God. That's your moment. That's your time with God. That's what everybody talks about with devotion, spending time, all that. And you feel like, of all people, you've checked that box probably 8 times that week. You know what I mean? And that is not the whole picture. That is not the whole um, plate that God has called a worship leader to do. Now, and you get into this trap of, I feel called to full-time ministry, so I feel like I'm devoting my life to God.
Yeah.
And that's a big statement when you say I'm devoting my life to God, but
Yeah.
then you're really saying I'm devoting my life to God through worship.
Mm-hmm.
So the through worship is only a piece of the pie of the initial statement. I'm
Exactly.
devoting my life to God. Then it should stop there,
Yeah.
because you're devoting your life to God. That includes trying to be the best dad you can be,
Yeah.
trying to be the best father you could be, trying to be the best husband you can be, trying to be the best leader you can be. And oh, by the way, I am a worship pastor, trying to be the best person in worship I could be, because that's my vocation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's good.
if you're not able to challenge yourself and identify that the whole person of devoting your life to God is not a vocation, is not a um, you're putting in the time, you're putting in the hours, that doesn't coincide with having a wonderful relationship with God. It
Hmm.
just doesn't. It just means that you are doing things that are good, and it's in your vocation, it's in your skill set, and God has blessed you and anointed you to do those things. But worship isn't 100, leading worship isn't 100% of the pie when
Yeah.
you're a worship pastor or a worship leader or a
Mm-hmm.
pastor for that matter.
Yeah.
There are other things in your life that, some of them, most of them, are probably more important in
That's good.
in family, in life, and in just being who God's called you to be in every aspect, coaching, being a baseball coach or a swimming coach or whatever avenue you're doing outside of the church, get into the community. All those things matter. All those things matter to God, and so they matter to God because people matter to God.
Hmm.
If people
Yeah.
didn't matter to God, then we can just stay in our silos. Fine, no big deal. But
Right.
people matter to God, so they should matter to us. And
Yeah.
so, and the other thing I want to touch on was it would kind of goes with that is if I could go back and change something, I would understand that every single time I get to lead worship somewhere is a gift
Yeah.
and it's a blessing and it's an opportunity that is shouldn't be taken shouldn't be viewed as punching a clock or doing my job. And yes, it is your job, it is your vocation, it is what you do. But I would go back and try and maybe lead less so that
Wow.
my sets that I was doing didn't feel like, okay, it's like here comes another Wednesday, here comes another Sunday, here comes another Wednesday, here comes another Sunday, and you get into that mode. And it's over time, it's impossible to keep things fresh when you're doing it at the clip of that. And
Wow.
I don't I would want to go back and some of those services where I probably led worship 4 times that week. I wish I could have figured out something to maybe done two,
Yeah.
or so that my preparation and my time with the Lord, and anytime I would enter into leading others in worship, I want to be as fresh as possible because I
Mm.
don't want it to feel like work. I don't want it to feel like a job. I don't want it to feel like something I can do because I have a skill set or a gift mix to do that, and other people maybe can't, or they don't, or they won't, or whatever that may be.
Yeah.
I just wish I could have been a lot more fresher and so that some of those years, some of those months, it didn't feel like here I am, I got to lead worship again, I got to come up with a set list, I got to do this, and oh my gosh, here's a conference, I got to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all those things are a blessing, and all those things are given opportunities by God, and I just wish I would have maybe done less of them, so it was more about the quality, not the quantity.
Wow. That's
And
good. Yeah.
that's what I would tell the younger generation is it's not about and I knew that. It's just you fall into the trap of that's just what you do. You as a worship pastor, when the service comes up or the church calls for a certain conference, you got to go lead worship for all 7 sets of those.
You gotta keep grinding.
You got to keep
Hmm.
grinding, and that's not the way worship should feel or be when you're ministering and worshiping the very thing that created you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the very concept of God and honoring and worshiping Him, and is it I I have to probably repent on feeling those feelings because that's never the way I want the Lord to to know or to be viewed
Yeah.
by me worshiping. I don't want that. I mean, if every elder is coming up 24/7 and seeing a new aspect and facet of him every single time, and they've been doing it for the existence of time,
Yeah.
then how does that make my feeble little worship set of 3 4 songs every 4 days in comparison if I can't feel fresh
Yeah.
and do that? I would, like I said before, I would rather be a living sacrifice to God than a burnt offering.
Come on. Yeah.
You know
That's
what I mean?
good.
I don't want to be toast
Mhm.
every single time I lead worship. I don't want to be gassed. I don't want to feel like I'm punching a clock because this is my job. And so there is elements of that because that is your vocation if you're full time. But I guess my what I wish I would have done differently 10, 15, 20 years ago was and it wasn't because I wasn't raising up other worship leaders. We totally were. I mean, we were raising up people left and right to lead worship and to do certain aspects, but you can't
Sure.
always hand off a whole set list to a volunteer and say, "Oh, we did it. Good, way to go." That's not mentoring. That's not worship
Right.
coaching and helping.
Hmm.
So you actually have to prep more to incorporate more people into things. You have to do more work to
Yeah.
release the next generation or the generation that you're in to do the leading than it is if you just did it yourself. There's
Yeah.
way more work in that. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So that would be my thought to them, to the younger generation, is make sure you are fresh and that you have a a good a feel about yourself leading worship, and you don't feel crispy, you don't feel like you're burnt out. And if you are going down that path, man, call a timeout if you can. Call
Yeah.
get a week off or 2 weeks off if it's at all possible, um, and just refresh your batteries and recharge them, because um, if you think that your relationship with the God is you're with God is good because you're leading worship so much, what ends up happening if you lead worship so much and you don't and you're burnt out? Then what
Right.
happens to the other 80% of your life? It's going to suffer.
Right. That's
Like
good.
it's just going to be a byproduct of, like, then you're going to be not at a great spot, period, because the one thing that you were banking on, or the one thing that you were thinking was okay in your life, is actually not. So
Yep.
that's why you can't put all your emphasis on what you do. It's more on who you are and what you've been created to be,
Yeah,
is
it's
the
so good.
big thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
man.
just a final statement on that mindset. We were at a church out in Colorado a couple years ago for a conference, and I took a picture on my phone. I know you can't see it, but I'll read it. And it's right on like the place where you enter the stage from like the green room or whatever. And it just says, "It is a privilege to be on this platform. Thank you, God, for choosing me." And I think that's the
Yeah.
mindset you got to have.
yeah,
That's good. That's good. Man, so good, guys. That's amazing. And thank you for taking all this time and hanging and just sharing wisdom. And we're I know that it blessed me. I'm sure it's gonna be a blessing to a lot of worship leaders. And
good,
yeah,
awesome,
and so well, thank you guys so much. And
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll have to do this again. There's so
absolutely.
much more, too.
for
So
sure.
yeah.
Thanks
Aw,
for having us, Philip.
Yeah,
It's a real honor to be able to be here with you and
yeah.
thanks,
talk
man.
to you and hopefully help people out.
Yeah, we believe in Worship House. We believe
Yeah.
in what
Man.
Worship House is doing. We believe in what Philip's doing. We believe in him raising up worship leaders as well, and just being a community of worshipers that just can rely on each other, can talk to each other, can share war stories, that can ask for advice, that can really just,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of ministries out there like that that would just lay down their lives for the sake of helping others, and that's
Aw,
what Philip does,
Yeah.
and
thanks,
that's
man.
why want to be a part of Worship House, and we know it can be scary to launch your own ministry. We know it can be, feel like you're on the diving board of the plank and hoping there's water, there, but
Yeah.
it is all worth it. It's all good, and
Come on.
you're doing something that is revolutionary, in my opinion, as far as the tenets and the vision of what a worship house is. And so we're super excited to be a part of it and to partner with you. And
Mm.
we're just going to be your fans, man, your biggest
Thanks,
fanboys,
man.
and
Yeah.
and cheer
Uh,
you on. And
awesome.
Philip for life.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
man.
do this forever. And but that's why OnSong wants to partner with Worship House, because we believe in the mission and vision of what you guys are doing,
Oh,
and we're
thanks.
super thankful that it's sort of like in our backyard, maybe 45 minutes away. So
Yeah. So
that's
close.
super cool.
Yeah, man. Well, good guys. Well, thank you so much. And
Absolutely, man.
appreciate you. Okay.
Thank you for joining us. And if you want more information on Worship House, what we're doing, what we're up to, you can go to worshiphouse.co and get all the information you need. And please check out some other podcasts, some other videos, and some other things going on with Worship House. Bless you guys. Have an amazing day.